Welcome everybody to Nothing Less Than Extraordinary on a beautiful Saturday. And there's sunshine outside, so I'm feeling amazing. And how best to receive a lovely, lovely person that I got to read her bio, and I was extremely impressed. But even just talking to her the week before, this is just like a human being that you want to get to know, that is really down to earth with a pure heart, with a big, big mission goal of wanting to make a difference in people's life. Like that's my kind of thing. So Kathryn Johnson, welcome with us.
Thank you, Reed. So nice to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. Thank you for making the time to be here with my audience and stuff. And you guys are going to be really inspired by her story. I can't wait for you to discover her life story, and what her mission is all about. So today's podcast is called The Joy of Obstacle. And she's definitely talking my language, because obstacle is something that I see that we cannot do without. And if we can learn to master and turn obstacle around into opportunity, our life could be just whatever we want it to be. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront, Kathryn.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
I'm going to do a brief introduction of Kathryn. She has so many things on her title, so I'm going to try to do it as best of a justice as possible. So Kathryn was born with cerebral palsy. She had to overcome a lifetime of various obstacles in her life, as you can possibly imagine. The fact that she's here today, she's a living proof that she's made it. She's had to learn to flip the script around of no, you can't to yes, I can. And that we're going to hear that story. I can't wait for you to hear that. She has 3 degrees, 2 world championship, bronze medal, best-selling author of an amazing book. It's called The Joy of Obstacle, right?
Yes.
Yes. And she has multiple award, certification of her life journey to be able to help you go through your life process, living the best life that you can possibly can. So that's just a small little gist of what she does. But honestly, you have an amazing person to really be there to coach you if ever that's something that you want to do, or you want to get to know and how to write a book. She went from a 6-figure job to leaving that job to doing what she's really driven and passionate about. So thank you for inspiring us.
Oh, anytime. That's why I'm here.
Yes, exactly. And that's the kind of people I like to have. So, you know what, Kathryn, how about we visit a little bit of how you grew up, what that was like with cerebral palsy, from constantly being told, no, no, you can't, to flipping that script around.
Well, lots of no's, as you said. Now, my experience is I was born, I'm almost 50. So society has changed.
It's a beautiful age. And you got amazing skin. Look at that.
Society has changed a lot since I was born. Thank goodness, awareness is increasing. Anyway, basically, I was judged a lot by, judged by my cover, and because I was different, people didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, people with cerebral palsy were put in special school,
Yes.
whether they were perfectly capable of being in with the other kids or not. They put them all in the same school. They thought it was the best. Mainstreaming didn't start until a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
So attitudes were it was new and different, and people didn't know how to react.
Mm-hmm.
So because they didn't understand, I got a lot of no's. People made assumptions and got a lot of no's. And I live like this every day.
Yeah.
And even as a little kid, like, you learn what you can do and where your limitations are at the time. I mean, you absolutely know, because it's how you function every minute of every day. Mm-hmm. So when people said no, I had to fight and convince them otherwise, because otherwise I would have been left out of so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly, yes, I can, yes, I can, yes, I can. And eventually, over time, relaxed, and they stopped worrying about me, and they realized I was just like the other kids on the inside, and that the obvious walking issues I had
Yeah.
were not that big of a deal. They were the ones that were actually, quote, handicapped, not me. A lesson for a lot of people in my life, early in my life.
That's fabulous, because it's you make me think of something like I remember when I was studying special care counseling, I work with so many variety of people, so people with special needs and so on and so forth. And this is such a beautiful message for young students at schools who are either having, I don't know, a whole bunch of different, whatever the issue may be, right? And being told by adults, being told by authority that they are not good enough at something or they can't succeed at something. And I heard a beautiful story of this one little kid, really briefly. He was called disruptive in the class forever because he would make like sounds with his hand all the time. He would bother the class until one day, and they would try to discipline him, put him on retention and punishments and stuff. Until one day, one teacher said, "You don't have a problem. You have a talent. Have you tried playing the drum?" And from that moment on, somebody opened up an opportunity instead of seeing as a problem, as like, there's something there to explore. And he became one of the best drummer ever. So I want this story about you of being told, no, no, you can't, constantly having to change and flip that script around. What would you say to young people who are being bombarded by this?
J'ai du mal vous comprendre.
That's my Siri thing that popped up at technology.
Technology is lovely. I would say trust yourself. Everybody is different, and nobody really knows what it's like to be you except for you. So if you know in your heart that you can do something, then trust that. And even if maybe you're not feeling too confident, but you really want to do something, and people around you are saying no, hang on to that part of you that really wants to do that thing, and somebody to help you find a way. Because if you want to do it, there's a way. If you have a desire, then it's yours to have, even if you can't see the way right away. It's yours to have. You wouldn't have the desire if it wasn't yours to attain.
So never give up on that desire. It's true, because nobody knows you as best as you know yourself. I mean, people get a glimpse, they get a part of you, but they don't have the full picture of who you are. And it's interesting that you said that. I remember when I was actually in high school, they put us in a school, like we were immigrants, so only certain amount of school, like certain school that we can go to. And I remember wanting to go to this particular school that had a really bad reputation for immigrants, but I just wanted to be with my best friend. And my father told me, we can't sign you up for that school because it has a really bad name. Everybody said it. And I looked at my dad and I said, "Dad, you're talking to me. If I want to succeed, I don't care what the reputation and how other crazy people are behaving. I will succeed. And I'm going to that school." So my dad, when I look at him in the eye and when I commit to something, he knows. He didn't bother. Okay, go to that school. And honestly, that high school, I did really good at school, and the school reputation changed, but not because of me. But I'm just saying that when you have a desire, when you trust yourself, when you know yourself, even my parent wanted the best for me, but they still didn't know what was the best. I knew what was best for me, and I chose to listen to my own desires. So please, like Kathryn say, if there's something you really want to do and you trust your own ability, and even though if you're feeling a little bit of self-doubt, go get the help that you need so that you can pursue that desire. Don't let anybody say you can't.
Exactly.
Like,
if you think you can't, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. As Confucius say, yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. And so how do you build this mindset? Like, because it takes a certain, I think you have to have a certain level of, I think your passion or whatever that desire has to be so strong that you block out the sound of other people. But it takes an internal, I knew for myself, it took like, I'm a very much like I can hear other people's opinions and objective, but I can filter them out. And at the end of the day, it's what I tell myself that truly matters. That's like an internal motivation. Like you have to be able to do that. But how does one who is kind of like not really sure, not really feeling too, the self-confidence is like a little bit shaky. How do you build that to get that mindset and go, you know what? I'm gonna do this.
Baby steps
I love it.
and support.
Yeah.
Support is key. Support from people who can hold your belief when you are feeling like your confidence is shaking. People around you that can hold your belief for you and pick you up when you need it.
Mm.
That's why coaching is such a beautiful field, because we get to help each other, and we all have those days. I have those days when it's like, oh boy, this I feel smaller than this thing that's in front of me, and I just pick myself up and I say, no, I'm going to take a step and I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. I'm still growing too. So
Mm-hmm. And it's a really good point because that's one thing that I look for my mentor and the people that I surround myself with is that I look for a mentor that sees potential in me that I can't yet see in myself. If you have somebody who sees your potential, they always say, like, align yourself with somebody who's done something already. I always want to align myself with people who done the self growth, who's gone through the journey. Life is not easy, but they know it's not easy. They've learned to accept that life is not easy. And once you accept that concept, it becomes less daunting. It becomes like a fun game now.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. Exactly.
I used to make a game out of proving people wrong.
Ah!
Just getting upset that I was said, no, you can't, no, you can't. I thought, oh, another challenge. Oh, let's see, and it was just funny. I remember in the 10th grade,
Mm-hmm.
I was 15 years old, and I'm from Winnipeg.
I love Winnipeg. I've never been there, but they say, like I said, one of the smartest people, the smartest of people around Canada. And I'm not to offend any other, because I'm from Quebec, but you guys are among the smartest people in Winnipeg.
Anyway, as you know, it's very cold and snowy and icy, and the school was very concerned that I was able to walk from the front door down the sidewalk, the parking lot to the school bus to drive me home.
Okay.
They assigned a buddy with me to walk from the front door down the sidewalk to the parking lot. And being an independent high school student, I really was not in line with this idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I fought it and fought it and fought it. And no, they had to. It just had to be this way. Until one day,
Mm-hmm.
my bus buddy
Mm-hmm.
on the ice, and I didn't. And that was the end of that.
Oh, wow. It's unfortunate for him, or him or her, but yeah.
Yeah, after that. So, it was interesting.
It's so funny because it can be passed on, this concept in so many area of life. Like all of a sudden when you were talking about that, I was thinking of Luther King Jr. about like how things challenges your value. Like in your case, like they felt like you need to be a company when you know that that's not aligned with your value, that you're trusting that you're able to do that on your own and to be independent. And yet here's all this extra societal and pressure and, authority that seems to think they know better for you. And sometimes they do, but I'm just saying that in certain case, when you know in your heart of heart that you're capable of doing it and they don't even give you the opportunity to even try because they're so afraid. So many things comes to mind, like Nelson Mandela, and all these different things. How do you stay true to your core value?
That's a great question, Ree. Um, First of all, I have to be really clear about what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I surround myself as much as possible with people in alignment to those values.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I used to be one, I wanted to change the world. I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove everybody wrong and fix the world.
Right, right, right.
And I realized that, you know what, everybody's in where they're at, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot of work. And you can't change other people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't change other people. If people are looking for change for their own reasons and they're looking for personal growth, great, I'm there to help them. But I can't change them just because I want to change them. They have to want it for themselves.
Yeah.
So surround yourself with people of like minds and people who share values so that you're not fighting them all the time. And then you have support and synergy and common ground and just conversations. Even this one is very easy because I can tell both you and I have very similar values.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a really good point because you're not constantly, I mean, a little bit of battle, conflicts and challenge, it's good. It always kind of like add new perspective. You want that for growth. But it's also very nice and comforting to know that you're aligned with people who are in the same objective and directions you are. And I find every time I dive myself in the culture of people who shares the passion and the drive and the humanity that I want, it's almost, I feel like I'm being bathed in like this magical water. And I come out like, it feels so rejuvenating. So, such a true and good point. And to be around people who believe in you, who are your cheerleader, they're cheering for you when you succeed, they're there for you when you're failing. It's so hard to find people who, when you are succeeding, that they're not intimidated by that too. So you might want to be able to, and so you don't have to have like a huge quantity of people. I think having one, two, like me, I tend to have quite a few people, but I make connection easily. But it requires maintenance. Like you need to maintain your social network and the people that you care about. And that takes a lot of time and effort. So having too much, I actually had to learn to let go of a lot to focusing on quality.
Yes, quality people aligned with your values, aligned with your goals, aligned with what you want out of life is really important. And as I say, the more aligned you are from the beginning, the less maintenance there is to those relationships grow and support each other mutually. It's one of the tips in my book, actually, and I have a 21 solutions book as well. 21 simple solutions, trusted tools to take you from surviving to thriving. Last year.
So can you give a few of it in that book, just a little gist, like a teaser, so that people, and then you can also share where they can actually go and get it as well.
A couple of tools from my book besides having a support network. One is, I say, take care of yourself, eat healthy, sleep right. That's one. And then another one is control your money so it doesn't control you. Financial habits.
Yeah.
And a third tip is say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no.
Ooh, expand on that one. I'd love to hear more.
A lot of people, they want to do the right thing for other people's feelings.
Yes.
And so they might commit to things that really, maybe it's not a good time for them, or it's not really their thing, or they don't know how to say no, so it's easier to say yes, so they say yes. Or maybe they want to say yes, but they say no because they're scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what this does
Mm-hmm.
is it puts you out of alignment with your own integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because your inner guidance knows what your true no is and what your true yes is.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't follow it, then you basically spend your time doing things that aren't in your best interest. And so what happens is all the people around you are actually spending time doing the wrong things because you're doing the wrong things. Everybody's they're kind of wobbly. Like it doesn't really, the synchronicity is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you honor yourself and say yes when you say yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no, it frees other people up to do their yeses and nos that are right for them. For example, you may have arrangements to go for coffee with someone, and say you wake up and you're not feeling well, decide that you really don't want to go. But you say, oh, I don't want to counsel with my friends, that's not very nice, and I'll go anyway. So guess what happens? Maybe your friend gets sick because you went for coffee, and now they're sick too. And family's sick. And maybe they were tired and they didn't say no, like they thought that maybe rescheduling for coffee would be a good idea also because they're tired and they've got different things to do. So that those other things didn't get done. And then because those things didn't get done, then the whole week is stressful and out of whack because other things didn't get taken care of. All because someone was nervous about rescheduling a coffee date. So, you know, really watch that inner knowing of, is this what I want to do with my time? Also, it's important to keep your commitments as much as possible. So watch what you commit to in the first place. But I say, you know, don't be afraid to reschedule if it doesn't work for you. That's okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. My God, the inner knowing there, when you said those things, my brain fire off like so many concepts right now. I'm like,
wow.
It's like, ooh, which one do I grab onto? But let's start with the inner knowing and then commitment after. And if I forget, because my brain is like, ooh, there's a spiral of different thoughts shooting out right now. But the inner knowing, we all have an inner knowing that we need to learn to tune in more. And I think we'll get into it too, because you do a lot of intuitive work as well in your coaching.
Yes, I do.
And yeah, and I find that very interesting. But the inner knowing is so crucial. I think depending of whatever your life circumstances, situation, you get disconnected with your inner knowing, and it's learning to tap back into that, your intuition. Sometimes intuition tells you things that logic can never explain. Like in my case, there's things that I've done that make no logical sense. And everything would tell me this is the wrong decision. But learning to trust my intuition more and more, it has never failed me. And to give a good example of what you said, I actually signed up for a coaching that at the time I could afford it. And then I had a loss in financial situation that I could never predict it. And I was feeling sick to my stomach every single night, waking up going, how do I pay for this coaching session when I should be terminating it? And my need to please was so strong. I was feeling like an internal conflict of wanting to commit to what I signed up for and knowing I can't afford it. So it was the hardest thing for me, and I do it with compassion and explain it to my coach due to unpredicted circumstances. as much as I want to stick around, and it has nothing to do with her. The coaching is amazing, but I can't like this. I am not getting out of the coaching as much as I should because now of this financial loss, it is controlling me. And so I check with my intuition and ask, my logic tells me keep going, pretend like all these emotions and your body just wanting to vomit, like it's all good to please. And listening to my intuition, I took the courage and told my coach in the most compassionate way that I'm asking to like cease the contract and nothing to do with her due to the circumstances, and that I'm choosing for the first time to stand up for myself and not needing to please somebody else, because I felt like I was going to disappoint her, that I was going to hurt her feeling, and I hate that. But I chose for the first time to listen to my own intuition. And when I did it, I didn't know how I was going to feel. I thought I was going to start crying. I thought I was going to be like the most horrible person ever. And when I did it, it was an instant, like I felt relief, but I knew there was a weight off of my shoulder. And that's when I know that I did the right thing. And so it's important sometimes to listen to that intuition. And even though it feels logically, it makes no sense and you want to push yourself. But when something feels like when you want to push and you force it, then you're not headed in the right direction. Making the right choice, it has to feel like it flows. If it doesn't flow and it feels like there's resistance, you're fighting something, then that's when you have to question it. So that was very good. And second thing about saying about commitment, I was thinking about that, and it's so great how the universe worked out that you actually brought this up. I was like, I should post this on Facebook. I'm like, but it's so long. But I committed to a 1 year commitment of working out this year and not knowing what it's actually going to do. And I realized if you can only commit to one thing for yourself, you don't have to do a whole lot. If it's just like, I commit to no longer drinking Pepsi for the next, I don't know, 3 months, and you just do that one thing, that commitment is like you sending a message to yourself that you value you. And so me committing to a 1 year commitment of working out, that's me sending a message to myself that I respect myself, that I'm choosing to put myself first by working out. Is it easy? No, absolutely not. But the changes that I've been seeing, this is my 15 weeks, going on 16 weeks of working out 6 days a week. I never imagined that just working out, doing the same regular exercise all the time. I'm thinking to myself, I have to be like a professional. I have to know how to do these different workout. I have to switch it all up. I gotta, because otherwise I won't get to see the result that I need. But I realize success is time and commitment and to be patient. So if I do the same old exercises 6 days a week for a whole entire year, it might take me longer than somebody who, know what they're doing and does this intense thing, and they would probably get it done in quick shape in 5 months, that it would take me a year. But you know what? Who's counting? If 1 year that I commit to it and I do it well, because I'm seeing all of the change. And I realize by committing to one single thing, and then you start getting this like all of a sudden this excitement, like I'm seeing the changes in my body. It's not like drastic, but it's enough to inspire me to want to do something more. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. I can see actually that you're changing the last time we talked.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're so sweet. But I mean, that is so good what you said. And I want you to also like, please share with them where they can go and get your book, because what she's sharing is amazing. And that's just like a tip of the iceberg of, diving into really working out. And I want you to expand on your intuitive aspect that you incorporate in your coaching as well, Kathryn.
Okay, sure. Well, my website is inspiredbykatryn.com, and Kathryn is spelled KATHRYN.com.
Mm-hmm.
And there you will find on the shop page, you'll find all my services and my books. So there's 2 books. There's The Joy of Obstacles,
Mhm.
and there's the 21 Simple Solutions book, which is 1-page tips. It's very short, not a lot of reading.
Mhm.
And then you have a 365-day journal to apply the tools in your life 1 week at a time. And you can
Mhm.
pick and choose which ones resonate with you.
Mhm.
And so there's that. And then I have coaching, which we might talk about later. You asked about my intuitive services.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I do card readings, I do tarot cards and ruin cards, all different kinds of cards.
Mhm.
And I work with intuition. The cards are symbols that they work in conjunction with my intuition, and it helps me give guidance to my clients.
Mhm.
I also do mediumship,
Mhm.
which is direct communication to those who have passed on. I relay messages to my clients.
Mhm.
Helps them, they can get closure on specific issues. They
Mhm.
can get support and guidance on what's going on with their life, maybe release some guilt. Often when somebody passes, a lot of us
Yeah.
be carrying guilt. Oh, I never said this, or I shouldn't have done that, or what did they think about this? And they can come back and have another chance to talk. And
Mhm.
I get to be a bridge for that communication.
Mm.
So, beautiful things can happen. And the interesting thing about mediumship, or one of the interesting things, just so your listeners are aware, is I will not be aware of anything overly personal. The
Mhm.
information will be given in a way that you understand it,
Mhm.
and so, or the client understands it, and they'll be able to get the closure and the support that they need without me learning all the back history and the private personal things.
Mhm.
That's not necessary. That's not their intention of coming to communicate. And odds are I don't remember anyway,
So much to it. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
because I'm just a bridge. They're communicating through me,
Mhm.
so it doesn't stay with me.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have one more service that I could talk about as far as intuitive or energy work
Yeah.
goes in my practice. It's a practice called ancestral clearing.
Mhm.
And it's a beautiful, kind of meditative, gentle practice where it helps people release um, emotional and physical discomfort in the body. So
Okay.
again, the cool thing about this practice is I don't need to know your family history. You
Mhm.
might come to me and say, "Oh my goodness, Kathryn, my shoulder hurts." Okay, so then we do some breathing, and I get you to breathe into that sensation in your shoulder, and I set some intentions for you. And then I'll ask you, how are you doing after that? Is the discomfort bigger, smaller, or different? And people guide me where to go. Sometimes the sensations, they move, but it's all about being in your body,
Mhm.
releasing, from there.
Mhm.
Often a lot of the patterns that we have, like say there's particular personality that you don't get along with,
Mhm.
and you keep running into these people
Mhm.
because you're carrying a frequency from something in your history, something generations ago.
Mhm.
It's in your DNA. It didn't
Mhm.
even start with you,
Mhm.
carrying it with you. So you're matching to these people and you're drawing these people into your life. So if you clear that frequency, those people will no longer show up in your life,
Mhm.
or those people will actually appear differently. Their attitudes will change.
Yeah.
Fascinating. It's all about the physics of frequency and attraction.
Yeah. And I want to be able to touch line with that, what you said about generational and something that is not just you started. Like mm, I looked at it like from my country, which is more patriarchal, and I have a hard time pronouncing words today, but patriarchal, patriotic. So where the male is actually more dominant than the female, even though my country before that, it was mostly led by women. But it became much more a male dominant over uh, the period as we go. And I noticed that a lot of women find themselves in unhealthy relationships, sometimes in relationships that are abusive. And as a young child, that always plagued my mind. Like, I never understood why men didn't treat women properly. I didn't understand that. Um, and I also grew up with a value where I thought the woman was to cater to the men's need in every aspect possible, like be the best wife, be the best mother, have a career. I mean, be constantly available for sex whenever he asked for it. To finding myself in an abusive relationship myself is not something that I am proud of saying, but now that I had time to look back and reflect on it, I'm doing the work myself. I realized that it is something that is within the culture. It has to do with me becoming aware with it. There is like some kind of a pattern that gets repeated, and not to be in a relationship that is doing the same thing. So luckily for me, I did the internal work, had a lot of counseling and getting to know myself a little bit more to not repeat the pattern. But this is such a topic that is so crucial and important. The other thing that you mentioned before was setting your boundary. And this, like you said it in the other one, I remember the boundary, but it aligns here, is that for a lot of female, a great book for people to definitely read is Why Does He Do That? And, you want to understand relationship. Why do men become explosive, violent, and treat you or demeaning or name calling? I'm not saying that is a relationship. I'm not saying that that's something that most people are experiencing. If you're not experiencing that, that's great. But I wish this was something that I could have learned in high school, of like how a good man looks like, behaves, and treats as a female, and how a man who's more controlling and using manipulation, violence, and um the need to control you. Just in a small gist, because we're kind of like going off in the wrong, not in the wrong topic, but a topic that I think it's very important. But with regards to this, is learning to set your boundary. When we talk about core value, learning to listen to your core value. When something feels off to you, you tend to justify and like logically give a logical reason of why his behavior is justifiable, which is totally normal. But one thing I've learned over time is when something doesn't sit right with me, then I have to go and do my own investigation, my own research, and then go to trusted friends that knows you, who you are. See a therapist if you need to see it to gain clarity, because it's important to learn to listen to that intuitive part of who you are, because that is what is in alignment with your true nature. Sorry about that. I kind of got lost in the topic. I was like, I gotta bring this up.
That's okay. It came out for a reason.
um, Thank you. Another thing too, I want to be able to highlight you, because we're coming close to the hours as well, because I can spend all day talking to you, Kathryn. There's so much more about you, and we're probably going to have like a part 2 of Kathryn I want people to know how you went from being a 6-figure kind of earning income to deciding, you know what, I'm going to write a book that feels like this message needs to come out. How did you went from that move to doing this now?
Well, it didn't happen overnight. In
Mhm.
2015, I actually started to study personal growth in 2009,
Mhm.
right after I graduated from my accounting school. And in 2015, working in my 6-figure job, I thought, this doesn't feed me anymore.
Mhm.
Enjoy my job, I enjoy my duties. And at the same time, it's not nurturing my soul. I want to be making a different impact. I want to be directly helping people, helping the world in some way where I'm more seen than I am, sitting behind a computer doing books all day.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of sat with me for a while. And then in 2017, I had an opportunity to take a layoff package. The writing was on the wall in my company. It was the 6th layoff I had in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I chose to take the package. I could have stayed if I wanted to. I made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a sixth layoff in a row. And I just thought, you know what? The universe is definitely pointing me in a new direction. And this job does not fulfill me anymore. I was married to my job. I was working over 40 hours a week, didn't go out much. And it just, it was all about making my company happy,
Mm-hmm.
not making me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, we talked about that earlier. That's not really okay. That's not a life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, I'm going to take the layoff. I went to California for 6 months, took a bunch of personal growth retreats. At the end of the 6 months in October of 2017,
Mm-hmm.
the very last retreat was 10 people in a meditation retreat, and they all said one thing. They said, Kathryn, you're brilliant. You've got to write a book.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was, oh my goodness, I'm an accountant. I don't know how to write a book. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely crazy. And I thought about it for, a few months, and Christmas time and stuff, I thought, okay, I've taken 6 months off. Like, I need to decide what I'm going to do with my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, if I write this book, I know inside it is going to change my life. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, why would I do it?
Right.
I knew for me, it was a stepping stone to much greater things.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked myself, do I really want it? Do I really want this change?
Mm-hmm.
And my answer was yes, absolutely. Because even though it was scary,
Yeah.
and even though I didn't know how the heck I was going to write this book, because I never had any concept of how to write a book ever before in my entire life,
Yeah.
I didn't want to get to the end of my days
Mm-hmm.
and have this feeling of, look what you could have had you chosen to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That concept absolutely made me sick to my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, what a waste of a life.
Mm-hmm.
Waste of an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So in January, I began to write my book. I talked to my coach at the time, and she said, I have the perfect person for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a person who knows how to help people write books,
Mm-hmm.
publish on Amazon. I took this course.
Yeah.
I published in 6 months. I became a bestseller 10 days later.
Nice.
Excuse me. And, the journey continues. First I had my energetic services, and then in 2020, I was inspired to add coaching, which is a system I was taught by Mary Morrissey. So I've integrated that into my services, and now I'm doing speaking and all kinds of interesting things, meeting lots of great people,
Mm-hmm.
serving the world in a way I love,
Yes.
and just having a great time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's new and it's different, and I don't always know the perfect thing to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm learning a lot, and I'm having fun, and I'm in my heart, which
Yeah.
is where magic happens. So it was a good change.
Exactly. And I find it's so freeing. There's time that I realize when you do the things that your heart is beating for, or there's that inkling emotion, something about doing that internal. I always say, like, when I have a feeling like, okay, let's say, for example, it's the funniest thing. I've been testing it out just to understand what that intuitive feeling means. Like, say, for example, I have a whole lot of checklists of things to do. And part of that checklist was today I had to stop at Costco to do all of my grocery because I had to prepare for the week. But on my way back, driving from visiting my parents, it just didn't sit right with me. I'm like, I don't see myself walking through Costco, finding all these different things. I just can't do that with two kids in the back. I'll get distracted. I'll overspend. I just feel sick to my stomach. And then I actually forced myself to do it. I had no pleasure going through Costco. It's just one disaster after the next. Yes, it was part of a checklist that I feel like, okay, I did it, but the emotion that it brought to me was just so negative. I could have waited for another time. It wouldn't make any difference. But I was so insistent on following my checklist that it didn't make me feel good. And then I compared to the time when that reoccur again, and I decided to give myself the permission today. Is it really the end of the world if I don't go and check it off of my checklist of shopping at Costco to do my grocery for the week? And so I see myself passing through Costco and deciding I'm going home. I'm going to go unwind, watch a little something on TV, laugh Ellen DeGeneres. And then I just find that when I give myself that permission, it is so freeing. And then the next day, I'll feel in much more of a better position. Then I can do my checklist and it doesn't feel so daunting. So it's so crucial when you give yourself the permission. If you have an inkling emotion of something that needs to be done, Mel Robbins always says, whatever comes in, you need to act on it. Otherwise, you let doubt and fear come and conquer it, and then you never end up doing it. So I am so, so happy that you put out your book out there for the rest of the world to discover, because it's a treasure. So thank you for that. And so before last thing we go, do you have any programs, anything that you would like to share that it's coming up so that the audience knows, so that they can get to know you a little bit more?
Well, I have many things. The best thing to do is I have a free gift for your audience.
Yay!
It's my Joy of Obstacles workbook.
Yes.
And I believe we're going to put that in the show notes for everybody. It's free for you to download. It's the workbook that goes with my book, The Joy of Obstacles, and there's bonus quotes in the workbook as well. With the coupon code JOY, it's yours.
Yay! Awesome.
My website, it's yours for free. In terms of programs, right now, because Christmas is coming up, holidays are coming up, I have a discount available for December to have a better holiday. If anybody of you out there are dreading the holidays, have an ancestral clearing session with me. You get 10% off if you book before December 31st. So you don't even have to have the session by the end of December. Just book before December 31st and you'll get your discount of 10%. Other than that, yes, I do have coaching programs. You can work with me for as little as 8 weeks at a time. I can start your transformation. I recommend longer, but 8 weeks is a great place to start. You can work with me 8 weeks to a year. So come and connect with me at inspiredbykatryn.com. I offer a free discovery call. No obligation, no pressure. We get to know each other. So see how we can support each other to move forward.
Yeah. And can you repeat the website so that they know again? So it's always good repeats.
Inspiredbykatryn.com. And Kathryn is spelled Kathryn. Kathryn. Inspiredbykatryn.com.
Beautiful. And so we're coming to the end now. I would like for you to leave with a quote that is going to get people to think and inspire. And I know you shared this with me, and I think it's a beautiful one. It's someone that I once in a while use it for myself to keep me going.
Oh, well, I love the one Oprah. I was watching Oprah when I was 12 years old, and Oprah said to me, or said to the audience, felt like she was talking to me. She said, a dress rehearsal, live your best life.
Life is not a dress rehearsal, so live your best life, because you got cut out a bit. I want to repeat it to people. So it's an amazing quote.
Life is not a dress rehearsal, live your best life. Words I live by today. Changed my world, then hit me in my core somewhere that I didn't even know I had. It was like a lightning bolt right through my body, and I live by those words today.
Make it your very best, the best that you can. So live without any regrets. So if there's something that you're passionate about, something that you feel like you need to share with the world, pursue it, do it. Don't wait. There's no better time than now, because if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. So Kathryn, it was such a lovely interview. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for inspiring people, for putting your light out there and just radiating. I'm wishing you so much success. You are a beautiful soul. Thank you for today.
Thank you, Ree. It was wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait for the audience to actually discover your book and put in the code, the coupon that says joy. Definitely check it out. It's worth it. I'm going to be sharing all that info. So thank you so much, and bye, everybody.
Okay, take care.